All right, everyone, welcome back. My name is Beef. I'm going to be casting some replays here for you. This is going to be Game 2 out of a round of 16 playoff match out of Assembly Winter 2012, or 12. Assembly Winter 2012. And here we do have, in the top right-hand corner, we have the winner of the GSL Super Tournament in 2011, playing from Team SCV Life. In the red, he is the Terran TSL.Polt. In the bottom left-hand corner of Core Hall Compound, we do have the Slayer's Terran. In the blue is Taeja. All right, so here on Core Hall Compound, we're having Game 2. Game 1 was on Antigua Shipyard. And so on Antigua, both players went relatively similar late-game builds in what ended up in Marine Tank with Medevacs and Vikings. But the openings were drastically different. Polt went one Rax fast expand into some barracks play, whereas Reaper expand followed into Cloaked Banshee out of our Slayer's Terran. So we'll see how these builds end up this time. Polt looking very similar to Game 1, barracks in the same position, whereas Taeja going to be building his barracks a little bit closer into his command center, not going to be going off for the wall. So we'll see how that happens to come into this. Both players sending out a scouting SCV at roughly the same time. Taeja's is going to get there a little bit earlier, and something really interesting right there, high-level Terran play, is that they will build the supply depot, blow the minerals, but not put the SCV on it quite yet, just so that they can raise this supply depot, and that's a complete wall-off. That's going to be denying any kind of scouting information, so we'll see that supply depot come up right away, and Taeja's like, oh, what the heck, man, I can't see into your base. I can't see if you have any gas or anything. Like, all I can see is that you have this stupid supply depot wall. But he's going to be putting a little bit of damage onto that SCV. Eventually, they're going to need to bring over their SCV. If he goes back out there, he will lose that. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen at this point. At the same time, Polt was able to get into Taeja's base, see exactly what was going. There was one barracks just right there, and he actually, I believe, saw the orbital command start to morph at the same time. Reason that there's nothing else going on is because he was saving up enough money to drop a fast command center on the low ground. See the same coming out of Polt right there. So both these players mirroring each other's builds, one Marine. However, Taeja doesn't know that. Polt knows that the builds are the same. Taeja's like, oh crap, all I saw was that one Rax. I don't know what's going on. So inherently, unless Taeja's able to get off another scout, he's going to have to play in a little bit more defensive of a manner. So, at this point, we're just going to be experiencing kind of a lull as both these players are doing pretty much the exact same build. Max placement a little bit different. Both of them coming out with one gas. So we'll see what that means. 2 racks coming out of Polt, 2 racks coming out of Taeja. Once again, absolutely mirrored builds. However, second gas is coming out. No, never mind. That was just a delayed first gas. Yep, identical builds. So things to focus on this map is that the third is going to be on the low ground. If you actually siege up a tank right here or right here, that's actually able to hit the natural third for both of these players. So we'll see if that comes into play. At the same time, the drops on this map are pretty effective. The main is absolutely gigantic. There are so many different locations where drops can unload without you seeing them. And if you're trying to spread out something like a turret ring, you're going to have to cover a large amount of space. Taeja still having absolutely no vision of what's going on the opposite side, trying to get the scouting SCV over there, trying to see what he can see. And the Marine's not doing nearly a good enough job, having 4 of those Marines spread out across that area, trying to prevent vision of what's going on, but Taeja does get vision of that orbital command on the low ground, and so with that he's going to say, okay, we're pretty much in the same position, I can kind of calm down. And by pretty much in the same position, I mean, they're in exactly the same position. Both these players taking their second gas, both these players taking a tech lab and starting combat shield at the same time. They're in exactly the same position. Mirrored builds, 100%. Taeja now starting +1 infantry weapons at his engineering bay. Engineering bay just going up for Polt. So Polt instead opting to drop double reactor with that 100 gas. So the Marine count is going to be quite a bit higher for Polt for the foreseeable future, but his +1 is going to be delayed by about 40 seconds. So, we'll see what goes on here. with the small Marine push out from Polt. It's actually going to be forcing the Marines back from TSL. And because Polt showed that many Marines, TSL is actually going to be building a bunker. Just to say, hell, man, that was a lot of Marines. Like, I'm kind of scared of that. So, going to be building a bunker, falling behind. Both players dropping a factory. Reactors coming out of TSL finally. So, once again, production facilities are exactly the same. The only difference is that the Marine count is going to be about 2 to 4 higher for Polt. In exchange, his +1 is going to be delayed by about 30 seconds. Combat shield finishing for both players. Stim coming up immediately afterward. Looking to be pretty identical. So, there is a 5 Marine discrepancy after, I believe there was a loss of 1 Marine. Let's check the units lost tab. Yeah, 2 units lost. So he lost 1 Marine and 1 SCV. And so that would account exactly for the 4 Marines that reactor bonus got him. Reactor coming out of the factory. Reactor coming out of the factory with the starport attached to it. That is going to be starport, reactor, medevacs. So both these players, once again, mirroring each other down to the T. However, with the information advantage that Polt's been able to garner throughout this game, he knows what's going on for his opponent. Whereas TSL did not know. So he actually had to drop a scan right there, figure out what's going on in Polt's base. Drops a nice scan. He's able to see pretty much everything. Yeah, he sees the bunkers, the barracks. He sees the starport with the reactor. He saw everything. So it was a good scan, but something that he didn't want to have to do to begin with. In addition to having to over-prepare with that bunker, and even drop the engineering bay probably a little bit earlier than he would have liked to, just to get the possibility of turrets up for anything like Banshee play. Polt's in a little bit better of a position. And that all comes down to the barracks being right there instead of over here. But that's just stylistic and preferential differences, so we'll see. +1 armor being started by both players. Stim going to be finishing up at nearly the exact same time. Medevac is going to be slightly faster from TSL, I believe. Yeah, medevacs are slightly ahead for TSL, but no big deal. TSL even dropping a missile turret right over here in the top left-hand corner because, like I said, this map is gigantic. He's probably going to drop another one like right there just to try to cover some more space because this is about the time that drops are going to be coming in. Missile turret going down in pretty much the exact same position from Polt, and Polt is going to see this coming in. He's going to be like, oh, there's medevacs. Stim's 4 Marines puts a little bit of shot fire onto TSL. TSL stimming in 1 Marine just to try to do a little bit of scouting. Sees the composition right there of the Marines with +1 with combat shields, and he already saw Stim, so he knows that everything's pretty much the same. A second factory is now coming out of TSL. So building the second one, he's already got siege tanks in production. No siege mode just yet. 1 factory over for Polt. So it looks like Polt is opting to go for additional barracks rather than siege tanks, rather than additional siege tanks, that is. So we'll see the siege tank advantage is going to be in favor of TSL this game, rather than Polt. Last time they had the same production facilities, but Polt just managed to have a little bit better siege tank control. The 3rd command center already went up for Polt. Polt's mining off of his 3rd base now, with that being an orbital command. But like I said, the siege tank positioning on this map can be very, very difficult to deal with because of the high ground into that natural 3rd. A lot of turns will actually even try to stay on 2 base if they can, just because holding that 3rd can be so difficult. So once again, 3rd command center coming out of TSL. But TSL's just going to go on in there and try to see what he can do. Try to bum rush. Oh, but that was a bad decision. Lost a lot of Marines there. The SCV's able to just easily pull off and repair that. But big stim coming out of both players, using up a lot of that medevac energy to try to handle that. TSL now going to be moving out with his tanks and see what happens. Viking in production out of TSL. Try to get that high ground advantage spot for that siege tank vision, like I said. But at the same time, Polt has opted to go for something like a sensor tower. Try to make sure that he knows where everything's coming from. But TSL is just going to go ahead and sidestep that. But 1 Marine over there is going to spot the three Marine scouting party from TSL. And Polt's going to go ahead and go up for the flank. Both players scanning each other, trying to make sure what's going on. But like I said, siege tanks up in this position, able to start shelling. Big stim out of Polt, going to be starting to chase down TSL. These other two tanks in a defensive position, able to provide covering fire for TSL. Once again, players scanning each other. Polt going to, oh yeah, both of these players are just going to be constantly scanning each other. A little bit of a hiccup with BattleNet there. Got to focus on turning that stuff off at some point. Like I said, though, this is my first cast in a while. You know, just kind of getting used to things in StarCraft 2. Did a little bit of Han casting before, but this is really the first solo cast that I've done for SC2. So bear with me. Things will be a little bit choppy, but they'll be getting better. We'll have some fun. That Viking from TSL coming into use here. He's not really microing it the best. Actually taking quite a bit of damage from the Team SCV Life Terran. Upgrades are looking about the same. We got +2 marine weapons coming out from both players, but +2 armor coming out of Polt. Ooh, it looks like there's going to be a big stim, and he's going to be going for those tanks. Managed to take down 2 tanks, managed to take down the 3rd tank, and take down all the marines in Polt. Looking like he just cleaned up right there. The rest of the marines and the tanks are going to be retreating home, and for the time being, Polt's 3rd base is absolutely safe. Now, during that time, Polt did have to retreat quite a few of his SCVs to this location over here just to make sure that they weren't taking too much fire. So he did miss some mining time, and TSL was able to build a 3rd orbital command instead of a planetary fortress because he was on the offensive there. But now that Polt has managed to take that fight, managed to take out 3 siege tanks, Polt's going to be on the offensive. He's got the siege count numbers, should at least. Yeah, Polt does have siege tank numbers and marine numbers. So Polt's going to be in a commanding advantage for the upcoming fight right now. And if he doesn't bungle this too hard, he should be able to at least establish a really good contain so that he can get his 4th and 5th command centers up and start just really heavily expanding. But there's a big stim from TSL. He takes so many siege tank volleys. He lost probably about 10 marines there, didn't even get the single siege tank. So TSL is looking like he's in pretty rough shape right now with Polt having superior numbers. We'll see who can get the positioning edge right now. Right now the positioning is relatively the same. We'll see if either one of these players tries to pull off a drop, try to break the siege tank line. Medevac heading home for Polt. Probably going to pick up some marines and then head out. But with better vision from TSL because of this medevac, siege tank war is actually going a little bit in favor of him. Polt actually below on siege tank numbers now. I believe that both players are operating off of a double factory. Yeah, double factory for both players still. But because TSL just got a couple of kills there, he actually pulls ahead. But once again, then Polt, you know, it's fluctuating. Big stim in from Polt right there. Trying to pick off some medevacs, but not going to happen. Polt going to be retreating with his army as he sees a large force heading up there, right about to where his command center is morphing into a planetary. Going to take out that sensor tower, going to be able to take out that planetary as well. Plus 2-1 Marines do so much damage. 2-2 Marines over there for Polt. Polt with +1 vehicle weapons. Same for Liquid TSL. Once again, you can see these players are just dropping so many scans on each other, trying to make sure that they know exactly where they are. But with both of these players being essentially maxed out, 200 and 197, it's going to come down to a game of positioning. It's going to come down to a game of air superiority. 1 tank goes down there for each player. 2 tanks down for Polt. 3 tanks down for Polt. Polt got the better end of that engagement right there. 3 tanks for 1. And that's attributed primarily to these 2 Vikings. The Vikings able to provide better vision and being able to save him some scans in the long run. Marines stimming into unsieged tanks, and nice pickup there by TSL, able to pick up those Marines so that they didn't take the second volley from those tanks. Nice job. Vikings once again providing some cover here. And it looks like the Terran players are going to be kind of just mirroring each other's actions. TSL taking the initiative and trying to move up towards Polt's base.